10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, Silver Squad, and welcome back to our live breakdown of Amazon Prime's hit show. My name is RJ, and I'm your host for the evening. And as always, with me today, I have from Team Silverside, Lou,
What up? What up? How's everybody doing today?
and we're waiting on Corey. We're having some technical difficulties a little earlier, but he should be joining us shortly, hopefully. Today, we're going to be breaking down and discussing episode 6 of The Bloody Doors Off. And here to help me break down this episode in its entirety, we have two very special people. Please welcome Ian and Taty from the Controversity.
Whoa!
Hello.
What it do, Jack Turkey? Thanks for having us on, man. It's been long waiting. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Thanks for coming on. We, been trying to collab for a minute. Again, we did a video about Up, Up, and Away, and we've been, waiting to work with you again for a while now. So glad you can make it.
No doubt, bro.
Cool. All right. So before we get started, even though Corey is running a little behind, I just wanted to give Corey a special birthday shout out because he is celebrating his birthday this weekend. So happy birthday! Hey, turn up. So excited.
You're getting old, part.
Hey. So let's get started because we have a lot to unpack. Episode 6 gave us everything. We got backstory, we got plot development, we got reveals, we got things fleshed out a little bit more in terms of the world. I know I can only speak for myself when I say that this probably was my favorite episode ever throughout since the series began. So what I want to start talking about first is the flashbacks. We see very early on Frenchie arrested, and we kind of get a little bit more of his backstory about who he was, when he linked up with the boys. We see Lamplighter. They were at one point blackmailing Lamplighter. So let's just dive right into the flashbacks. So how did you think? What did you think of the flashbacks, Ian?
Well, shoot, the boys does a good job of giving us stuff, and we're like, "What the heck are you talking about?" I remember they did that with the previous episode when they were interviewing these ladies randomly throughout the show. We're like,
Yeah.
"What the heck is this all about?" But that's what they did with this one with the flashbacks. We're like, "What? Why are they showing us this?"
Yeah.
But then, when they kept going, of course, you knew that they were telling this previous story that related to Lamplighter. And I knew that they mentioned the situation of the death and Lamplighter through season 1.
Yeah.
But we didn't officially know a lot about Lamplighter except that, of course, what's her name replaced him in
Starlight.
7. Yeah. So I thought it was a very deep story. That's what I love about The Boys. It's funny, it's action packed, but it actually hits your heart. And that I understood both sides when it came to this story. I understood, the stuff that happened with Lamplighter, and I understood the stuff that happened with Frenchie. Both wrong, but you understood their point of view of the situation.
Yeah.
Can you say that?
Not really. I mean, no. I mean,
Yes. I enjoyed it though.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like the fact that they went into Frankie's story because it allows us to see where he is now as a character. Because before that, we really know nothing about him except for what's going on at that period of time. And Frenchie is my favorite character in the show. RJ says that he's trash, but I like Frenchie in the show.
Okay, I'll give you that. I will say that I feel better about Frenchie than I did before, and thankfully this backstory cleared some things up, and I kind of learned why he is the way he is, and I guess I can say from a writing standpoint, I appreciated them finally filling in the gaps because I'm not gonna lie. Frenchie probably was my least favorite character for a long time, and
But what is the reason why you didn't like him? Is it because you didn't know much about him, or just because
yeah,
you were getting everything else from everybody else?
I felt like we've gone deep into everybody else, and I
Mhm.
felt like he didn't get enough fleshing out. He really wasn't well layered to me, at least until this episode. So I greatly appreciate the fact that we got to see how he got involved with the boys, and back to how he was recruited. I really appreciated Frenchie for the fact that we kind of get to see that he's been killing Soups for a while, or he's been using his brain to kind of take down Soups for a minute. If you notice, when he first got arrested initially, we ended up learning that he actually took down a Rage Soup by
Mhm.
making a Xanax bomb, and
Word.
and that just kind of
Yo,
spoke to how dope Frenchie was. I
yeah.
mean, it like the butthole bomb, now the the Xanax bomb, and I guess for me, what I'm trying to say is I can appreciate Frenchie more as a character because before I'd be honest with y'all, I just was really low on Frenchie as a character.
I just think that it was set up that way for us not to know anything about it because even when everybody else in the group got made, like nobody knew anything about Frenchie. So I
Very
guess
true.
that's a mystique for me. But like I said, he's one of my favorite characters on the show.
Well, let me ask you this: like, besides Mother's Milk having a family, what much do we know about him?
He's black.
And
I mean, yeah,
About it.
we all root for everybody black, but
Root
at
for
the end of the
everybody
day,
black.
he's half Hispanic. We root for everybody black, but like at the same time, like the difference between Frenchie and Mother's Milk really ain't that much different. We don't really know much about him either.
you're
Well,
right.
And
I
Frenchie,
feel like the fact that Mother's Milk was more humanized to me because he had a family. We got to kind of see that his life would be. He didn't want to go back to dealing with the boys because he felt like he would lose everything. And for me, I felt like he was a little bit more fleshed out than Frenchie because we got to see who he was and what he valued as a person. With Frenchie, it was just like, yo, I'm here to kill. It just, that's to me, Frenchie was just flat. So for me, I think the fact that they humanized him and fleshed him out, laid him out a little bit more with a family was kind of a reason why I preferred Mother's Milk as a character as opposed to Frenchie. So
I
I
can dig
I
it.
respect
feel
that.
like there's quite a few characters though in the boys that like they haven't really fleshed out completely. Like
yeah.
Queen Maeve. We don't know like I mean we know now that she's gay, I guess, but like okay. Like we don't know a whole lot about her either. Like I remember during this episode I was like I kind of wanted to see more about that scene with her and her girlfriend. Like I wanted to know more about what was happening, but we don't know really anything
Mm,
about them either.
Yeah, out of all the suits, I feel like she gets like the little
Yeah.
bit of screen time. Like they give us a lot of good stuff, and they're like, "All right, back to the other story." I'm like, "Whoa, well, what about that? I want to see more of that."
I think it's
yeah.
hard to develop as many characters as they have in
Yeah,
the show.
exactly.
Okay. I mean, when you say it like that, I feel like these are one of the shows that definitely has an ensemble cast. It's not where it's like two main people and everybody else is a side character. Each group of people has their own individual story to tell. So I think you're right in that aspect. It is hard to flesh out every single
Yeah,
character. So it may take a couple of seasons before we know more about people. Butcher got really fleshed out in season one. So did Starlight. Now Mother's Milk, and now Frenchie's getting a little more fleshed out. So I definitely agree with that. Welcome, Corey. How you doing? Doing all right? Can you hear? Probably not. Okay. All right. So. All right. So now that we've kind of like talked about that, I do want to dive into one of the secondary storylines of Maeve, um,
Oh.
the Deep, and A Train. I still having problems, I guess. Hey, this is live, people. It happens. Maeve is still having. Maeve right now is being exploited. We see them kind of using her sexual identity, not even really her sexual identity, an identity that they gave to her, because it was pointed out, I think, in last episode or before that she's actually bisexual,
Yeah.
and here they're just saying, you're gay. That's it. It's easier for us to connect with you if you're in a regular gay relationship, where one person is feminine and the other one is not. So I feel like it's crazy. So what? I'll kick it to you, Lou. What did you think about Maeve and her storyline of being basically exploited with the commercial and everything?
I feel like Maeve really like Tommy pointed earlier, like you really get no screen time for her. Like, you don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. Like, you get maybe 5 minutes of whatever she has going on. And I can dig the whole thing where she's trying to get evidence against Homelander. So maybe he might possibly leave them alone, but Homelander is so trash that he'll kill them both before that even happens. But
Mm,
it with her backstory, you get something, but you really don't know much to go off of.
mm. Very true. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I mean, similar, man. I like that storyline where they're going with it. Like she has a plan to, for out of love to help her in her relationship and to do the right thing because she seems like she's conflicted. But at the same time, we do know that she's not an angel. So
Hmm.
I'm interested in that storyline a little bit more. And I can understand like her lover just being like, "Yo, what the fuck." After seeing that video, like, and I thought that was actually brilliant from season one, like bringing that back. That was one of the most craziest scenes in season one. Like, I was like, holy shit, that scene almost gave me nightmares. Like, it was
Yeah.
that bad. Um, we all feel for her as she's saying as well. So I would love to see more of that and like where that's going with that blackmail that she's trying to attempt. But at the same time, her working on this blackmail is going to cause a lot of blackness in her relationship, man.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
I I feel
Agreed.
bad for
Agreed.
like the other girl said too, just like she's definitely going to get a lot of flack for it, and not that
Hmm.
she doesn't necessarily deserve it, but like watching that scene, like you knew she wanted to help, you knew she wanted to do more, but what was she supposed to do? She
Exactly.
can't
Yeah.
fly,
right,
she can't care, like she really didn't have an ability to help them
Absolutely.
in the
right.
way that
Yeah.
Homelander did. He was the only one that could have done anything, and
Yeah.
he didn't. So like
Yeah.
she did say something. She's like, I should have spoke up against it. And it's like, well, you kind of did, but he's
Yeah.
just a dick. So
I mean,
you
yeah.
know.
He's
Yeah.
I think I think that was more like that was more of like from her watching from Elena watching the video and just her reaction on her face. I think it was more she was surprised that she seen this happen and she didn't know anything about it. I don't
Yeah.
think it had anything to do with what was actually going on the plane. I just think that her seeing that video just took her by surprise because who would expect something like that?
Yeah.
Now,
he makes a good point.
and in her mind, I feel like she would be like, well, kind of see what's going on, but at this point now, you have to tell me what's going on, and I'm hoping that that's where they go with their storyline from there.
Yeah. It's
I was about to
crazy
say you make a
because
good point. Like,
yeah. Go ahead.
well, in relationships, like I think she would be upset that I didn't tell her something that went on like as big as that. I think she probably would be upset. But from my point of view, that's just something that conflicts with me personally. So I get that. I get that struggle. I understand what you're saying.
Right,
But then
right.
I'm also not really surprised by it just because like when we finally met Elena, like no one knew she was a thing. And
Yeah.
she even was like, why are
Mm,
you here? When she
okay.
got there,
Okay.
like they didn't talk. Like they didn't really have
Yeah.
much of a relationship anymore. So
And I want you guys watching to participate. I have some questions on the bottom of the screen. I want to know: do you guys think Queen that Elena can live with what Queen Maeve did? As you were saying earlier, it's such a hard thing to believe that somebody you love and care for would do something so, I guess, heartless. But to your point earlier, at that point, what could she have done? She
Well,
can't fly. You know, and she's terrified of Homelander as I am. So I don't even know if I
Yeah.
could have snitched after that. Who isn't scared of Homelander? After
Yeah.
you got on the
for a
ground, that had to be one awkward flight to the ground. What do you do? What do you say? You can't say anything.
and
It,
that, that
it's
that's
he's
that's
frightening.
the point of that really is like at that point in time, what could you do? It's
Yeah,
either I die along with all these other people in the plane, or I can, keep going with my life and maybe
yeah,
I make something good, you
yeah.
know, somewhere in there.
Man, she just go ahead and eat the Maeve Pride bar and just keep it moving.
PR,
so
that's PR.
yeah. So that brings me to my next point. Like Vought is just this corporate monster who really only cares about their image, and I feel like sometimes Vought can just be Vought is the type of corporation just to support whatever is trending. And I feel like this is something that we see in our own lives from a day-to-day standpoint of corporations fake supporting these causes and these trendy things. So this is kind of what I mentioned earlier was when we have this world that's being a little bit more fleshed out and made a little bit more realistic. So I think that I really enjoy the fact that we're really starting to see just who Vought is with these commercials and the exploitations. So moving on, let's talk about the deep in this damn cult, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Um, what's so? Do you guys think that the Fresca is something that do you think is helping with the mind control?
Yes, yes. I feel like
I
I feel
literally
like
asked you that last night.
yeah, that's that Kool-Aid, man. That's that
Yeah,
Kool-Aid. And in every scene that it has something to do with that cult, because it's a cult.
yeah,
Somebody's always offering you a fresca. So there's got to be something up with that.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta say this though, man. Regardless of what's going on with that, because I feel it is the Kool Aid. Fresca is just a trash ass drink. If any organization is offering me Fresca,
I hadn't thought about a Fresca in like the longest time. I was
yeah.
like, Fresca of all things, like
If your friend offered you a Fresca, they don't care about you, bro.
Trash individuals, man. I don't know. It's crazy because we see the deep actually helping out Maeve going to no, sorry, I fast forward. We see A Train. We see the deep actually trying to recruit A Train into this cult. And so my question is, do you think that with everything that A Train is going to, that he will buy into this cult?
He's desperate, bro. He's very desperate.
Yeah. At this point, he is desperate. I think he will.
I feel like because I want to say he said you have a heart condition, you're in massive debt, and you're going through withdrawals, and this
That's
speaks to
exactly.
how they actually got deep because they told him because they caught him at his lowest when he was kicked out of the seven, he was ostracized, and I feel like A Train is he hasn't realized yet that he's at his rock bottom. I feel like being that he thinks he still has these endorsements and these deals coming, I feel like he's not aware that he's at his rock bottom yet. So I feel like eventually he will. I think it's going to take him a little bit longer than it took the deep to realize that he's at his rock bottom.
he's a bit prideful. So
Oh,
yeah,
for sure. For sure.
Oh, he's very prideful.
yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure, man.
it's,
I did not call that at all. I thought A Train was gonna, be on that team of trying to expose Homelander and the boys for revenge. But I do like where this is going. I did not call this whole, joining the cult thing. So
I,
it
I
hit me.
think I think there's a secret thing behind the cult. I feel like these people are trying to gather as many suits as they can to go against
Mm,
Boss and their suits so that they can be whatever they want to be. The
yeah,
the big shit, pretty much.
yeah. It's sort of like how Vought is a pharmaceutical company that is starting to gather superheroes and things like that. So who's to say they're not building their own team? For what reason we don't know.
Right. I just feel like they're just trying they're somewhere like that's just how I feel like they have some kind of plan, some kind of takeover plan, and their goal right now is to gather as many suits as they can on their side to fight for them, so that when they go against this big corporation, they can handle their business.
Yeah,
I can see
I
that.
definitely see that
I
happening. Yeah. Speaking of building teams, let's move on to the boys and everything they went through this episode. God, from start to finish, just everything they went through. We see Frenchie remove Starlight's chip, and we kind of see her go back and forth with Butcher about excuse me, coronavirus. We see
It's real.
Shit is real.
keep it real.
Coronavirus.
Dang. We see them go back and forth
Can
as
I put
far
my
as
mask
like,
on?
yeah, you might want to put it on. I don't know if it can come through the screen. We safety first here at Silver Sight. Um, it's the boys went through a lot this season. This episode, we see Starlight has kind of linked up with them, and she's working with them to take down Vought. She had her chip removed, which I felt like that should have been a bigger deal than what it was. But then again, Frenchie being Frenchie, the man, finds a way to penetrate her skin and remove the chip. So now we see Butcher and Starlight kind of going head to head with each other because for some reason Butcher still does not trust Starlight, which I don't understand. Do you guys feel like Butcher has a valid reason for not trusting Starlight?
It's just once the soup has done you wrong, they've all done you wrong. That goes with anybody. I think everybody thinks like that, right? I mean, I'm not trying to put that in you guys' head, but I think if someone's wronged by a certain demographic of people, then they think that all those people are going to be treat you like that or something.
Mm,
And I
That's
okay.
think
very
I think that's his biggest beef. It's just the fact that she's a suit and he doesn't like a suit whether you're on his side or not. He's just not gonna like you.
Okay. So you think it's just who Butcher is at this point?
Yeah. But you can see they're developing some kind of relationship.
Okay.
no. And you know what? I can understand that prejudice, and I can acknowledge it's wrong. We can all probably relate to that as well as black men and women. I've been wronged and dealt with racism when it comes to like a lot of rednecks living in the South. So I don't want to like generalize all rednecks for being racist, but I do always have my guard up. So I can understand having your guard up when it comes to like always being done wrong and seeing the stuff that you've seen, in between in that situation when it comes to soups. So I can understand having your guard up. Now, is he right for feeling that way? Absolutely not. I think she's shown many
Mm,
times that she doesn't rock with bot.
yeah. Because she's proven herself on more than one
Yeah.
occasion where her loyalty lies, and I think at some point I get where Starlight's coming from on her frustration because I feel like at what point are you gonna start trusting me, bro?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
I've
sure.
done so
I,
much for you at this point. Like,
Come
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the point because Butcher acknowledged her, like he said, thank you, Like this is the point. Like he has a little bit of faith in her now.
Yeah, but I felt like it should have come a lot sooner. I could see if she was doing things that seemed kind of sketch and you didn't know where her loyalty lies, but she came through for you every single time, and it's I to piggyback on what people are saying in the comments. At one point, Starlight literally had to call him out to get those wheels turned in his head. You're literally just like Homelander. I know somebody like you, and he wears a cape. And I feel like that kind of hit home and kind of helped Butcher, look in the mirror and be like, "Oh damn, I'm wilding, I'm bugging."
Yeah.
The person I hate the most in the entire world,
Yeah.
I'm being
It,
compared to. Pretty deep.
exactly, exactly, and it's accurate too. It's almost like you have someone who doesn't like their parents, and when you do something and your wife says, "You see, you're just like your father," and it's like, yeah, it's like it's like, damn, I am. It's sort of like that, and I feel like that's kind of what ended up happening to Butcher in this episode, and I think that's kind of what was the catalyst for him starting to accept Starlight a little bit more.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, so now we get to the meat of the story. We see that we learned last episode that there's a VOT facility. I want to say it's like Sage Grove Center,
Mhm.
and they realize that it's a VOT owned compound. So they decide to break in, and of course it's the boys. So we know this isn't going to go smoothly. All hell breaks loose. They run into Lamplighter, um, who, like we said earlier, that's who Starlight replaced. So they run into Lamplighter and they see Stormlighter,
Don't front. Don't front.
Stormfront.
You got
Got it.
it.
We see Stormfront actually Yeah, we see Stormfront show up at the VOT facility, and she goes into the holding cell, and there's a gentleman doing some very basic, mild telekinesis that probably Jean Grey would have passed out doing. But we see her, and we see,
Really what
yeah,
it up.
there's some Jean Grey shade for you, you know. All right, yeah, level telepath. Okay, Jean Grey, but but we see the guy doing some telekinesis, and one thing leads to another. He's upset because he can't call his sister, and Stormfront says we'll work it out. And after she leaves, uh, Lamplighter just torches dude, bro. So let's just talk about this whole breaking thing. I'm gonna kick it to Lou. Just yeah, what'd you think about this whole epic Sage Grove Center break-in, man?
That whole thing was crazy. Yo, the one that tripped me out was the bald head girl, and she's just closing her hands, and things are exploding, doors are caving in. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Now, real quick, do you notice that the guy that plays Lamplighter is the guy that plays on? He's the ice dude on X-Men.
Yeah, yep. I
Well,
caught that. I peeped
I
it.
thought that was pretty funny that he went from
Yeah.
fire to ice, ice to fire. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Just wanted to point that out real quick. I mean, the whole fact that Lamplighter's not dead, he's actually in this facility burning whoever they feel is defective or whatever they got going on with that. Like that whole scenario was crazy. That whole
Yeah.
scenario was crazy. Now, I understand the backstory as to what they're doing, and what I failed to understand, I'm not sure if anybody else caught it, is are they in there not only because they have these powers, but is the compound V that they're injecting to them actually, making them crazy or doing whatever?
I want to say that the whole goal of them being in there is because Vought is trying to stabilize Compound V, right? So in doing so, I remember I don't know if it was Stormfront or Lamplighter that said, I think it was Lamplighter that said, you either get a stable superhero, you get a psychopath, or you get something else. So I feel like it's kind of like Russian roulette or rolling the dice. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
So I feel like they're in there because they're being experimented on, and I feel like the ones who are stuck in there only are in there if they're unstable because they haven't stabilized Compound V yet, from my understanding.
Okay.
What were you saying, Toddy?
I got you.
So I had this question that came up like last night when we were watching this. So they're in there because they're experimenting on all these people because they're trying to stabilize Compound V.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I might be skipping ahead, but when we
You're good.
see Stormfront talking to Homelander and explaining, her history and all that,
Perfect
and
one.
she says, "Oh, I was the first one that got the injection, but I'm assuming she got that as an adult." And he said, but Lamplighter said, when they inject it into babies, it's fine, like they can handle it, but for some reason, adults, like it's not stable. I don't understand how the first injection was stable for her, but for other people, it's like not. And that was like 80 years ago. How is it not stable yet?
I think the only reason I'm gonna let you say your thing, Corey, but I think the only reason that it worked for her was because Friedrich Bach was the one that actually made it. I think that what they're doing,
Okay.
they don't have the exact formula, but they got what works.
Okay.
So everything's just a copy, is what I get you saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the formula they're looking for is to mass produce Homelanders.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why she's like, "You're perfect. I love you." Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so he might be
Okay.
the exception to the rule. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Dude, I wanna
Look at us
say
breaking this down. Okay.
Yeah, we it's getting deep up in here.
Right. Where's
I
my
want to
check,
say one
Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah. Ooh, shit. Amazon.
Where's my check? Monetize Amazon.
Yeah, right.
Let's go. We got student
I wanted,
loans.
I wanted to say something about this episode too, like especially about like the whole the break-in situation. I felt like this episode, which I felt it was my favorite episode, might be of all of them, but definitely of season 2. I felt this should have been a 2-part episode. Like this whole like
Okay.
prison like break or trying to like control everything. I felt like it should have ended like at a certain spot. I would have loved to see them like going floor to floor or room to room, like trying to
Okay.
escape from suits. That would have been
Yeah.
dope as fuck, in my opinion.
I like that idea. I definitely did not want. I didn't want it to end. If that makes any sense. When I don't know. I just felt
Yeah,
like
me
this
too.
episode was so jam packed. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't want it to end. I feel like it really should have been a 2-part episode. There was so
Me too.
much that happened, or so much more they could have done in that VOT facility, and we only got a fraction or a glimpse of, what VOT is doing or what they're capable of. So we end up I forgot. So they ended up in the comms room again with Lamplighter, and he didn't want to take them because there was an exit, and he didn't want them to go to the exit with him. He was going to leave him in there or something like that, and they ended up convincing him after old dude came and acid vomited and almost melted his face
Worst power
off.
ever. Worst power.
Worst
Like,
power
My
ever.
wife said something earlier. She was like, "How do you not?"
Own body. Like
Right.
Yeah.
That's what my wife said.
if if his own acid didn't break his own body down, it would be great.
Yeah, that
I mean,
definitely was a plot hole.
But Lamplighter did say like either they become super dope or they explode or they just become freaks. So he did say that a lot of them aren't perfect. And having acid reflexes like that is just the dumbest.
Yeah, to what Corey said, like it would have made more sense if his acid didn't burn his own face. But I don't know, when we saw him on the comms for the first time, it almost looked as though he was vomiting into a bowl constantly. So I don't know if it's a power that he can necessarily control, and maybe that's why he's always expelling it. And I want to say his vocal cords were damaged. I want to say his vocal cords were a little damaged.
There, guys. Just hold on.
We're live, guys.
Yo,
He tried to play cool
everybody at
for like 10 seconds.
everybody at the break is hearing us, and he just got attacked by the big dick.
Mr. Endowed. Mr. Endowed. Big dick girl, Mr. Endowed.
I guess he's dead. I guess he died.
That was Homelander. I told you we've been talking too much shit about Homelander. We do it every week. We talk about how Homelander pulled up. Homelander pulled up and was like, "What's good?"
I'm tired of y'all talking shit.
Homelander. Just relax.
Homelander got him, Ayana. Homelander was tired of us running our mouth. That was funny. So what ended up so where were we at? I lost my place, y'all. What was we talking
You were
about?
talking about the comm room, and then you were saying how Lamplighter didn't need anybody until acid reflux came in there. Then Kimiko was able to put him in his place.
Okay, yeah, so and we were talking about the vomit. So now that door's open, they have to actually they have to leave. And I can't remember how we got to Cindy actually getting out of her cell. I want to say this happened before. That's what actually caused the breakout was Lamplighter.
Yeah, they were about to
door.
fight, and then she comes out, and they're like, "Oh, you can kill him. We don't like him." And she's like, "You
Yeah.
guys look like him, though." Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what happened. So I feel, and also I feel like Lamplighter should have a little bit more control over his power, being that you were in the 7. So it was just kind of weird to me that you missed and burned down a whole cell door. It just didn't make any sense to me. I felt like that was kind of like lazy writing. Yeah. So what y'all think about how she got out? Well, what did you guys think about her overall? Let's go there.
Oh, he's back. I mean,
Go ahead.
I got Stranger Thing vibes. Like, you know, when we saw Elle like straight up like go crazy in season 1, I got Stranger Thing vibes, but this is just like, you know, an R-rated version of Elle. And I like her. I can't wait to see what she's finna do after that.
Yeah.
Gonna go
I'm glad she's still alive after Stormfront hit her. I thought she was done for. I was like, no way, she was so awesome with it,
Yeah.
pride and everything. I'm like, yes.
Fried her, bro. Like straight fried her. I what I liked about it was because when Raynor's head got blown up in the first episode, people were automatically blaming Stormfront, and I didn't understand why people were saying I think Stormfront did it because she never exhibited anything close to that power before. So I knew it had to be someone else. So my question is, were they letting her out the cell? And if so, how are they controlling her? Because she seems pretty unstable to me.
Yeah, like I don't know. Once you let her out, I don't know how you're gonna get her back in.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
Yeah.
Are you talking
all
about?
she gotta do is look at you and go like this.
Yeah, Cindy. Yeah. Or you.
I think she's in the most control of her powers out of all those misfits in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
She's
she's gonna be
doing.
a problem, you know, for everybody.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
call hell. Like, she raised all the hell instantly. It's amazing.
I feel like she's the biggest threat. Like you said, I feel like she has the most control over her power than the other inmates in there. Except for Mr. Schlong,
Mr. Endow.
who can control his parts. Yeah, very different power. So
You know,
we
he
see.
made me very insecure, you know, because she wanted to rewind that part. I'm like, what? Are you
It was hilarious.
Sure, that's why you wanted to rewind it because you wanted to laugh.
I mean, honestly, it's disgusting. So I don't.
Yeah, she wanted to laugh. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that part was fun. Everybody, when they saw that, they assumed like, you know, Mr. Elastic or something, like, you know, Mr. You know, Fantastic.
Yeah.
We didn't even think, you know, they even told us at the beginning like he could do that, but we didn't even think about that when it was.
I don't
going
think
on.
anybody realized it was like to that extent.
We all were
Yeah.
feeling mother's milk at that moment. Like, yo, is that his? Oh my god!
To me, it just looked like a worm. I was like, who the hell is a worm? Has a worm?
Yeah, I thought it was like a tentacle or something.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it did look like a word.
I snatched back
Like,
and you.
a worm?
Yeah, it's uncircumcised.
Dude, it's funny because I don't think it registered in any of our heads until Kamiko went out there and like cold cocked him out, and with the bossy ring, you do have boss on the middle of his foot. And I think the level of shock on everybody's I'm pretty sure that when we all saw it, I think we were always like, wait, what? And I feel like the best reaction was Frenchie because he saw the panic in Mother's Milk's eyes, and he's like, wait a minute, it's okay.
But it's okay.
It's okay.
That joke he made too, like, yo, tell him about the big penis. That
Tell Butcher.
Tell him how you almost got choked
like,
up
yo,
by a
don't be
dick.
that joke
Don't
had
be
me rolling.
close-minded.
Don't be close-minded.
Frenchie's out there, man. So
This is right. Be open-minded. Come on, guys. Homophobic?
So question, guys. Would you rather be choked out by a schlong, be dissolved by vomit acid, or have your head blown up?
I'd rather just go ahead and get it done. Blow my head up because that, you know, if you're getting choked out by long periods, the whole time you're getting choked out is like I'm about to die by somebody about to dig me to death. I'm about to die by this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole time you're dying.
Could you imagine, like, you just getting wrapped around, and then that's the last thing you see when you wake up in heaven, and you're like, what happened?
Yo, listen. I don't know about y'all's friends. My friends like to talk shit and clown. My friends talk. So the second that happens and I survive, I will never hear the end of it. So yeah, just blow my head off. I'm not even dealing with that. Straight
That
up.
is hilarious to me. It's funny that you say that because I feel like I don't think Lou or Corey would ever let me live that down. Like if I got choked out by like a dick and
No,
then
I'm not letting
survived,
you go.
I feel like every time we like link up, we go to Comic Con and be like, "Yo, he got choked out by a dick." I feel
Oh,
like it feel like
he got
every
choked
time,
out by
man.
it.
Hey, walk up to
No,
somebody like,
Reggie, straight up, I'll be like, oh, look, it's Dick Neck. Every time I see you, I would say that. Hey, it's Dick Neck. Subscribe to his channel.
stranger to my age. You ever known the person that had a dick around the neck? Oh, there goes one.
Right there. Never let me live that down. That had to be probably the highlight of this episode, man. Was it was Mother's Milk getting choked out by a schlong. That had to be like the funniest shit, man. That was the funniest thing in this whole episode. Um, so now, so they end up so while they're inside, actually, Huey, Starlight, and Butcher are outside, and one of the inmates from the facility gets loose, and
Oh,
he,
I,
I don't know what his power was, but he ended up,
emitting shockwaves.
yeah,
That was
shockwaves,
his
yeah.
power. Maybe it was like an EMP pulse or something like that.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
whatever it was powerful.
because Starfire didn't have her power, right? Starfire feeds her
Yeah.
power from source, so maybe it was like an EMP shockwave thing, because she didn't have
Okay.
power to burn Huey.
Which was crazy. I didn't know that she had to have like electricity to be able to use her power. Like I was like, really? That's
That
trash. Like
Yeah.
it is interesting, but you got to have some that you can't just be all powerful.
But I like that. What it does is it keeps a certain, I mean, just
Ground.
powers. It's not reality, but it keeps it grounded in sort of like reality.
Right.
And scientifically, it makes sense. If your power has to do with electricity and an EMP, someone's power is basically an EMP. You're not gonna have your power. So I like that aspect of it. So the
There's
EMP
always
gentleman comes and he blows away the van, and Huey actually ends up getting impaled, and Starlight can't cauterize the wound, so they end up trying to go to the hospital, and they end up trying to commandeer a vehicle, and it just goes terribly wrong. Which I blame Butcher because Starlight had it. You know, she could have used a little blonde hair and smile and got the car, and they would have been on their way. But Butcher, being Butcher, can't listen. Ended up, he just couldn't stay back. So, what did you guys think of the whole him commandeering them, trying to commandeer the vehicle, and Starlight actually killing someone?
Oh, so it was confirmed she killed him?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
She
Yeah.
got 2 killed on that
But did
episode.
you hear what
Yeah.
she said in the car whenever she said the only thing that was going through her head was like, "Why did you pick up the fucking gun?" or something?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
all
got
which
away.
reality went to her inside of her, and she started thinking like that, and she just had to do it whatever was necessary, and she ended up
Yeah.
killing him. So it's almost
I
like
think that
boys.
anybody in her situation though would probably eventually come to that sort of like thought process though. Like I think it would be hard kind of not to, like, when you're trying to like genuinely accomplish something like for the good of everybody else, and like
Yeah.
you're just put in these positions like where you really don't have much of a choice. Like it kind of becomes like a repeat of like, okay, like this sucks, but like what else do I do? Like there's nothing else I can do. I just gotta go with it. Like I can't dwell on this because it's gonna tear me apart. Like what else do you do?
And I want to say one thing about that. Like this episode also showed like why Starlight's one of my favorite characters, and I'll explain why. Starlight reminds me of like that we're all. I'm 31. We're all like up there either late 20s or in our 30s. We all know these like 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds that don't know much about the world. I loved in like season 1 where she didn't she was just like this American white girl that just all happy and is excited about the world.
Yeah.
And then she starts to realize, oh, the world's a crappy place. There's people in charge are sexual assaulting people. They're racist. They're crooked. And you see the evolution out of all the characters. Her, Huey as well. You see the most evolution where she's like starting to understand things more. I think this episode it's just like night and day from like the introduction of her to now,
Yeah.
like the flipping of not caring as much because how the world is and what you got to deal with. And that's why I like her character. She showed the most growth. And not that we agree with like her killing people, but we understand like life is what it is, and you got to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
And to what what Belinda had said, yeah, it's sort of like that happened to her,
Her
and
cherry has
now
popped.
she
Wow.
and so basically she's it's like it's sort of like welcome to the real world, the whole
Yeah.
being shadowed and all of that stuff. It's she's starting to realize just how real all of this is, and I feel for her that moment where she killed someone. I think it registered in her head that there's no turning back now. These things have to happen. Collateral damage is inevitable. Um, yeah, that whole. I like her growth. I do. I wish that Huey would grow up a little bit more. As we learned, he still uses Axe and L'Oreal Kids
Real kid.
shampoo. L'Oreal Kids. Like it's yeah. I wasn't even surprised when they said
No.
that.
That was funny. That was a good scene though, because like then I felt like it was like, okay, the two of them have found some sort of common ground that they could agree on, and that you could feel just like in the conversation the way that they were like talking to each other, that they were
Very
like,
good.
okay, this person might not be so bad,
Yeah.
you know.
Very
Yeah.
good.
And you can
They're
kind
like, you be better than both of us, so we ain't shit. Like, we can relate.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite scenes, along with like when they were all in that room and deciding like, hey, that whole night was a big misunderstanding whenever Lamplighter killed the kids. That was probably my favorite
Yeah.
scene of the episode. But
Grandchildren.
like the
Yeah.
hospital scene you were just talking about, my second favorite scene. Very good and deep scenes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's
They
what
were
made this episode. Yeah. For me, that's what made this episode was the kind of character growth. I felt like a lot of different characters definitely became more developed in this episode.
I know I had technical difficulties first joining, but I probably missed when you guys were talking about Frenchie. And Frenchie's like my spirit animal. I really like that guy.
Frenchie's dope, dog.
Yeah, that,
I've
I'm
been
on the
saying
Frenchie
he's
team
dope.
Frenchie now. I'll give you that.
But see, like I stated earlier, the reason you can understand everything and that scene was deep because you get each character's climax pretty much. So
Yeah.
you get why Frenchie's been feeling some type of way this whole time. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And up until that point, he thought Lamplighter was dead. So
Yeah.
he never thought that he would get that retribution. So to be in that scene where now all of a sudden Lamplighter is here. Now he finds out pretty much why what happened.
I like the fact that like you said, it kind of like let us know what Frenchie's deal was and why he had, such animosity, built up.
Yeah, it's
And he had so much guilt that was just, he was harboring.
so
Yeah.
Hmm.
and
We say, Corey?
I said he had a weight on his shoulders. He was carrying that the whole time.
Yeah.
And Mother's Milk like finally relieved him of that when he said
Yeah.
like, dude, it's fine, we forget.
Yeah. And he said, why didn't you say anything? We would have let you off the hook. And
Right.
Frenchie replied, he was like, I didn't want to be off the hook. So that just shows, you know, everybody can forgive you, but unless you forgive yourself,
Yep.
it doesn't count. It's sort of like with people with low self esteem. If someone can tell you that you're good looking all day long, but if you don't believe it, then it's not true for you.
yeah. And that scene also, like when he was when he brought her to the lady, he's just like, yo, listen, you could kill him, but you'll be doing him a favor because he's been living with these demons for this
Mm.
whole time,
Yeah, all
and
you do is end the
he
suffering.
really genuinely felt bad. And at the beginning of this episode, we're like, man, fuck this dude, we don't care. But when
Yeah,
we heard that he did this on accident, he didn't mean to do this. We felt bad for this guy, and
yeah,
I love that scene that we understood the point of view of that man, and
yeah,
it just shows the writers are really really good.
I believe that too because like it gives you the chance to see like I really believe that he did not mean to do that. When he
Yeah,
mentioned that he was supposed to take out the blonde haired CIA lady, he
yeah,
mentioned that I was supposed to get her. I didn't even know the kids were in the house.
Yeah.
So and so when he did what he did, it kind of got him to the point too, to where once they were burning, what else could I do? I couldn't do anything but listen to their screams. So I'm carrying this along with the blonde haired lady and French.
You need to carry a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, we carry condoms. He needs to carry a fire extinguisher. Hey, speaking of condoms, how big of a condom do you think that dude needs? Oh, god dang. I'm canceled.
Could you imagine, like, if Mother's Milk had like a dick neck bruise on his neck? He's never gonna live that down. Never gonna live it down. So let's move on to our last and final kind of storyline for this episode. Let's talk about Homelander and Stormfront and their weird kind of just pairing, man. Just gross, weird. Lisa said he needs a trash bag. That's funny, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the weird pairing of Homelander and Stormfront. We see early on that I guess they're now like an item. When they were doing an interview about the movie that's coming out, Kamiko and Butcher kind of like gave each other a look when they saw it on TV and was
I
like,
know they fucking.
But Butcher says it too. Butcher
Yeah.
says it too.
I know.
yeah. He's like, yeah, they're definitely, yeah. They automatically knew it. They were a little too friendly with each other, a little too jokey, a little too laughy, and it just, I guess, at that point, it became obvious. Now, what I'm thinking is, eventually, this might be a weakness for one of them.
The only it's a weakness for Homelander. He's letting his guard down. You see how vulnerable he's becoming.
I was like, wow, he actually cared.
That bouquet of roses, whatever he got her, and he allowed her to he allowed her being late from whatever she was doing, and he just burned the whole place down.
Like a child, man, like that, and I felt that was so childish, man.
It's trash. Well, what more can you expect from a dumpster?
I want to say this too, like that scene where she like explained, "Hey, I've been here this whole time. I'm a Nazi. I was the first person." Just spearing this racist BS. This whole time, we all know Homelander's trash. We hate Homelander, but in the back of my mind, I was like, "Don't do it, Homelander. She's a Nazi." I was
better
like,
for you.
We know Homelander's trash, but she's probably more trash. I was like, don't do it. This is your time to shine. Save yourself. Just knock it down. And he's like, nah, bro. I got the pussy's great. I gotta be with the Nazi. I was like, you have no qualities now, Homelander. You're trash.
I honestly think that Homelander is just he's very easily emotionally attached.
Yeah.
But he's looking for that relationship, kind of like what he had with Stillwell.
Stillwell.
Yeah. So now that he actually has somebody that's interested in him or showing interest in him, it's kind of messing with his head.
What did you think about when they quote unquote stopped the bank robber in the alleyway?
That was so
They had his blood on both their faces.
Yeah.
It's so weird, man.
The robbers, they are some sick people, yo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're freaking weird, man. Like and what I think we talked about this last week or week before last, I think with Desiree and Harrison, I think the first show. They're typical Americans. You can't even do your job anymore because people want to record you. You mean you can't be racist and held accountable for the bullshit you do? I mean, it just came off as they're basically America, racist and ignorant to the fact that you're racist.
Yeah, you're right. That's basically America in a nutshell. You
You need some milk.
You don't want to drink milk no more. He just want to boil it.
Nazi milk. I
I
don't know,
think
but
that
they're
too
just
is
such a
like
weird pairing, man,
it
and
is
they're
very
dangerous together. They are. I don't foresee this ending well for anyone. I foresee a lot of death and destruction, especially when we are given. I mean, we knew she was a white supremacist, but we kind of went deeper back into the story of Liberty or Stormfront or whatever you want to call her, and we see that she actually was born in 1919, and she
Fall
married Heinrich Himmler, who's like apparently like a Nazi leader, a general, something like that.
scientist.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So and she's the daughter of Frederick Vought. No, sorry, she had a daughter with Frederick Vought.
Mary.
So it
Yeah,
yeah,
just
she
did she get
married
Very
married? About?
she married Frederick.
okay. Wait, yeah, she
She
fell
was
in
just
love and had
hanging
a
out
daughter
with
with yeah.
and Hitler and
She's
uh
just casual friends with Hitler.
Goebbels or however you say his name. All of them.
I don't. So how do you guys feel about how they gradually gave us her backstory piece by piece? I felt like it was well done in the sense that we didn't get too much too quick, and I like the reveal because it kind of came with um more knowledge than we've gotten about her since her debut. So how did you guys feel about the way this was revealed, and just exactly who she is?
I mean, I'll go first. I felt like we already knew, of course, that she was racist. We already knew that she's lived a long time because of the previous stuff we heard from the 50s. I think it was 50s or 60s.
Yeah,
Um, but I think a lot of us, and a lot of the YouTube videos I've seen and the conversations I've had, we all thought that like maybe she was the comic book version of Vought himself, just
mm,
gender changed. But then we realized no, she was married to him. I didn't expect that at all. I didn't, and I like that surprise.
yeah,
So
good twist.
how I feel about that, I like that. I like being surprised because I can speculate all day. I'm a YouTuber, and I'm a nerd, so I'm always
Yeah,
thinking stuff all the time. And I generally was surprised. I didn't think that and to talk about Homelander real quick too. He's already showed a little bit of racism. He called people mud people in a couple
yeah,
episodes ago. He said something about mud people, and he said something about why are these people with cell phones when they're poor and stuff like that.
yeah. He
You know,
was
he
like they're
he
starving,
already
but they
showed
got
a little
cell
bit.
phones.
Last episode.
Yeah, yeah. So he's already showed a little bit of casual racism. But for him to take this leap of being, he's now officially a Nazi. After she
In
admitted
my
she's a
opinion,
Nazi,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. After he admitted she's a Nazi and started kissing her, hey, that you co-signing it now.
yeah,
So like,
yeah.
so it kind of was already showing that he was going on this path.
yeah. I agree 100% with everything you said. You marry a Nazi, you're a Nazi, or you get with a Nazi, you're a Nazi.
Pretty
But
much.
but why are there so many correspondence between Stormfront and Edgar? If she's a Nazi, Edgar all going all along with that? Like, what is his whole role in this? Is he not a part of the Nazi background of Vought?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
Me and her talked about that last night, bro. I was
Ah,
all like, who's running this show? Is like he like the business guy and she's
running
inherited the business?
because she
I don't know. He,
she's
he,
married, she was
he
married.
might be that guy that just cares about money. He doesn't care about he might be a Ben Carson. Doesn't really care about our race. He just cares about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, like they mentioned that in the episode where that Edgar was all about money. Like he really didn't care about anything else but making the money. And I think that's just how it plays out. Like Storefront is doing her thing over here with the asylum, Shady Grove or whatever, Oak Grove or whatever it's called, and then Edgar is doing his thing with all the PR and the movies and the Seven and all that. Like that's him on this side. So I just think that the messages between them is just strictly that. I don't. To be honest, I don't even think he knows anything really about her back then. She's done a
okay,
very good job of hiding it from everybody until now. The fact that
yeah,
you've been alive since 1919 and you've been doing this, and I'm pretty sure you've been doing this since you become a suit.
You've only gotten
Right,
hmm
right, right. Like she, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just,
And if he does know, maybe he really just doesn't care, because like it seems like he wouldn't really have to deal with it at all until it maybe became a problem that he had to actually deal with. Like he doesn't have anything to do with them. Like they addressed that. Like he doesn't go near them. Like he don't talk to them. You know, he doesn't associate with them whatsoever. He only does the things he has to do for like his job.
And if he knows, he's a coon. Sorry.
It's sort of like that one person who it's that one person who comes to work and just does their job and goes home.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I'm here for a check.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
no morals, no morals, and that's kind of what I get from Edgar. I feel like, but then I also feel like I think what Lou said. I don't know if he knows her full story, and I don't know if he knows that she's a full-on racist. Maybe she doesn't show that side to him, but she shows it because he's up here, and maybe she shows it to A Train because he's down here and on his way out. So maybe she doesn't mind displaying that racism to him. What were you saying, Corey?
I just wanted to say one thing. If you remember on a previous episode, whenever Homelander confronted Edgar, and he's saying like, "We're superhero, blah blah. I'm the face of this company." He's not the face. And Edgar, and and Edgar was saying like, "Do you know the history of this company?" So obviously he knows something, but for what he knows exactly is to be determined. I think so.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to unravel all of that.
Yeah, so that's a lot to unpack. Um, what an episode! Definitely was one of my favorite episodes throughout the entire series. So real quick, everybody, I want you guys' opinion. Everybody in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rate this episode? Mine, I'll give it a 5.
I give it
It's fine
about
for me.
7.5 because I like how things went down with backstory.
Okay. What about you, Corey? 5. Okay.
Pretty good.
It's fair to say we all give this a 5.
This is the best episode so far.
Yeah, it was
straight up.
like so many details, and it is exactly what we have been asking for these past couple of weeks. Like
Yeah.
exactly what everyone's wanted. So it's good.
Good. All right. So I think
So
Shoot, and like I was saying, the only problem I have, I wish it was a 2-part episode. Seriously, I wish they would have dove in a little bit more with the break-in.
I think they actually got. I don't think they needed a 2-part episode. I think they got what they needed to get in that episode. What they got in there, like kudos to the writers because they sure know how to keep us in there and wanting to know what these characters are going to develop to or what's going to happen next.
Very true. Yeah.
They did fill the allotted time with a lot of information. So
They got a lot done in the episode. But
For sure.
it was good. It was really good episode. But we have officially come to the end of the episode. We want to give a shout out to everybody in here. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Silver Side Live. Make sure you catch up with us, tune in with us, whatever you got to do. We're here live Friday, October 2nd. That's next week at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as we discuss episode 7. And I cannot wait can't wait to see what's coming for episode 7. We'll have our guest, Hero Harrison from Hero Harrison Talk. We'll have our dog Desiree from Desiree Movie Vibes with Desiree. Fun time when they came here last time. But thank you guys so much for coming. Before we leave out, just how can we find you? What are your handles? What kind of projects you got coming up?
How was that for us?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go to youtube.com/thecontroversy and check out a lot of stuff. We do Tuesday nights we do live streams. We talk about all the trending nerd stuff. And then, sometimes I do videos about like a lot of TV shows, movies, and anything that's on my mind. Support Black creators like these gentlemen right here. I appreciate you for bringing us on, RJ, and I'm meeting these guys for the first time. For the culture, man, much love.
Let's go.
Appreciate
you guys.
We appreciate you. We also want to give a shout out to everybody watching right now, our viewers who's tuned in today and have been tuning in for the past few weeks, chilling with us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your interaction. But what else we got going on? You can always catch us at Facebook at the Silver Site. Reggie, what else we got?
We're on Instagram at the Silver Site, and we're on Twitter at I am Silver Site. Soon to be rebranded. We're working on some things, but for the most part, follow us across all social media platforms. Twitch at the Silver Site. All right, guys, that has been our show for the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Later days. Yo.
All right. Oh, never mind. Night out.